Stephen Asenuti, Tiren Ish. I hope you're doing well. The title of this live stream is Wudjau from the Seshew live stream about Shaka-Ndugu-KMT because indeed he has started a stream a few minutes ago. On my end is actually 7 a.m. So I woke up and I saw in my feed that he had this live stream schedule. Actually, um, it was like before 7 a.m. that I saw it was scheduled, but just really shortly before that. So what I'm going to do actually is just go through it in real, quote unquote, real time. But obviously, I will comment every now and then. So, but I don't think that I need, to take much time to answer their claims, but we're gonna, I'm gonna discover, for me, it's gonna be in real time anyway. So I'm gonna put the fair use disclaimer out of the way. I don't expect that he will flag, but I'm just doing it, as a habit, as you know. So here in the chat, this is the fair use disclaimer, copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. And I'm going to check the sound quality. Just 1 moment, please. Okay, sounds good on my end. So let's go. I'm going to share the screen of his stream.
I guess only Zane. I don't make claims, or I don't. Mel Gibson. Okay, yeah, Mel Gibson and Tina. The Sabite Dome, in the word people say, student, teacher, teaching, and or instructions. All those variety of words.
So he's been live for 13 minutes
come out of
so
the
far.
word Sabah. All right, so the Sabite Dome is Shaka-Ndugu-KMT. Claims related to ancient Kemet are addressed. So tonight we'll be addressing and correcting claims made by Shaka-Ndugu-KMT, who came on the show 2 days ago when we were actually addressing correcting claims made by Brother Reggie. And so the Brother Shaka had made some comments about Sheikh Anta Diop being vindicated after 50 years by a scholar by the name of Dr. Peter James Brand. As a professor, I believe, at Michigan State University. And so that was his claim. And he had asked me if I had seen the interview that the Brother Garfield and the Brother Unk had did with the professor. And at the time, I didn't. And so that's what I told him. And that I told him that when I do watch it, I will give my review and commentary on it, as I did Dr. Winterman's interview video. And I did that yesterday. So now that I've seen it and we're past that, now I'm coming back to address the claims made by Shaka-Ndugu-KMT regarding the professor's statements and things like that. See, and I hope you all notice that I don't make claims, or I don't pretend to address things or attempt to address things that I'm not familiar with yet. Like you won't see me pass judgment on books I haven't read or people's claims and work that they put together. I don't come to conclusions and give comments on things if I haven't checked it out, and I feel that everyone should be of that same frame of mind. To me, it's crazy for people to judge a book by its cover. We're taught as little kids, never judge a book by its cover, and that's what a lot of people do. So now that I've seen the video and watched the interview, now I can comment about it and I did that yesterday. But now I'm coming back to Shaka-Ndugu-KMT. So shout out to everyone who's tuned in, just kind of buying a little bit of time. I didn't realize. I think someone else is live because right before I went live, and we're going live late. And right before I went live, I saw that I believe, I'm not sure if it's the pseudo killers or the community of skeptics is live now as well. So, and that's all fine and dandy because we're just gonna go over this. It'll be in the archive, and people will be able to check it out. So, but make sure you spread the word. Make sure you spread the word for those of you who think that anyone would be interested in this. All right. All right. So let me just give some quick shout outs for those who are in. So we have so first up, and if you're watching, give a greetings in the chat so I can see that you're here and you're not hiding in the bushes somewhere. But peace to Masi Warrior Clan. Peace to Philitantist. Peace to Sister Mika 1, 2, and 3. Peace to the brother Zane. And so far, and peace to the brother Vyasa, Nicolo Gala. All right, so peace, welcome. And I appreciate you all hanging out. All right, so we're going to get it in. All right, so let me just ask a quick question in the chat. Did you all see the video, or were you actually hanging out with us 2 days ago when I was doing a review of Brother Reggie's claims and statements regarding the driving of the 4 calves in the temple, that rite and ritual? Were you all present? And then that's the show that Shaka-Ndugu-KMT came on when we opened the panel up. How many of you all were there the other day, 2 days ago? Just a quick glance in the chat. So how many of you all were there? Just curious.
So you can see that in the chat, I wrote that question in his chat. I wrote, peace, Wudjau. Did your French-speaking friend/team translate the 500 pages of Pascal Werner's book Athribis? Just out of curiosity. I'm going to put the volume back up.
You know how you have a coat check? We have a shenanigans check. All the drama and shenanigans. We leave that. We'll give you a shenanigans ticket. Just how you get a coat check ticket. You could pick up your shenanigans on your way out. So who else was there? So Zane was present.
K Groove's in the place to be.
I guess only Zane. I think Sister Mika was also present.
For those who don't know, Wudjau is very long-winded, and as you can see, he's asking who was there, and so it looks like it's going to be a very long live stream. So okay, I may not
my first time. Okay,
go through all of it.
Yep, welcome.
I expect it.
All right, so Emeka, you ready?
Okay, let's see.
Ready?
Oh yeah.
And if you have any questions in the chat,
you have any greetings,
any comments, and feel free.
Just hotep poo to everyone that's chilling with us tonight, and those who are gonna watch later. Now we know it's late, and you could have been anywhere else, but you're here with us, so we definitely definitely appreciate it. So let's get it in.
All right. So I will post the panel link, if you all are interested in coming on the panel, but I will be engaging in the chat. So we're just going to dive in. So again, tonight's discussion is first of all, welcome to the I'm about to say Terror Dome. Welcome to the Sabaite Dome, where misinformation and false claims related to ancient Kemet are addressed. And tonight we'll be addressing and correcting claims made by Shaka-Ndugu-KMT. All right.
And
so we're just going to go ahead and get it in.
Oh, it was not lost. She wrote,
and
can't even
you have
come
to
in
bear
nicely.
with us because we're going.
She wrote, can't even come in nicely. You see, those groupies are so funny. Now I wrote peace Wudjau and I asked a question. So basically, there apparently I'm not coming nicely. Apparently I'm being rude. Let me put the volume back up.
Or Emicat. Well, Emicat, you can add Emicat because she's in the chat as Emicat. But if you're addressing me, make sure you add the Seshew so your comment can will highlight, your name will highlight to me and I can see it quicker. All right, so keep that in mind. But all questions are welcome. All right, so we are going to just dive on in. All right, so here we go.
Wudjau, thank you for having
Yep.
me on. If there's anything that you disagree when it comes to something that I've said or shown, then please feel free. I really don't mind if people disagree with me. I wanted to ask you, have you seen Peter J. Brand, the Egyptologist from Memphis University? Have you seen when he gave his translation of the seated man, seated woman? I mean, the Kem glyph, the owl, and the loaf of bread, the seated man, seated woman. Have you seen that video when he says that this is a writing for the black people?
If you're talking about who did, are you speaking about Garfield and Unc interviewing him? Is that an
Indeed,
instance
yes.
there, or
Indeed,
okay?
yes.
No, not yet. I'm gonna be reviewing that one in an upcoming video.
Okay. Well, in your own time, you'll be able to see it. But he actually said, when he was asked what it means, it comes from the word Kem, which means black. So Kemet means literally that which is black. So if you read this will look like a writing for the black people, or those who are black, referring to a group of people. And if you wanted to write a word that meant those who are black, referring to people, this is how you will write it. So basically, 50 years later, Dr. Diop was confirmed correct, and I was surprised when you showed Diop's book and you said that he was wrong.
That these are the black people of Kush. Yeah. No, not Kush. The black people of Egypt.
Of Kemet.
Of Kemet. Or no, they saying the Kemet mean the black people in this whole glyph right here. But from what I've learned, that will be kind of out of context, based off the culture, based off of the how they would have did it. So what is this saying right here?
Well, the first part of it normally, and I'm not sure if this is actually an original writing or something that's been composed. The first three signs where you have that sort of little.
Now, you see, first, the sentence was saying he looked like he rushed. He rushed. He he has some timestamps. You know what I'm saying? So first, the sentence said that I claimed that Dr. Peter J. Brand translated it as black people. And now what was just said, I'm going to go back a few seconds, and you know what? Look, let's be clear. There it is. You see this sentence right there? See? It says, oh, let me make it larger. Was it not large here? Oh, there it is. It says, Shaka-Ndugu-KMT claims Dr. Peter J. Brand translates the glyphs in question as black people or those who are black, referring to a group of people. And we're gonna hear it. I already played it, and I put the text. You know what I'm saying? And then other sentence. 50 years later, this is confirming Shaka-Ndugu-KMT correct, right? So that's the first sentence we see. And then look at the next sentence. At this moment, It's clear that Dr. Brand is not familiar with this arrangement of glyphs as a real word or something made up. Indeed, it is clear, right? But that wording is quite funny to me, you know. Now let's continue.
The jagged edge, that actually represents the tail of a crocodile.
Okay.
And it has the value kem
Okay.
in Egyptian. And then the owl is the letter M.
Okay.
And then the little half circle sign, which represents a kind of loaf of bread, is T. So those first three signs, you know, we're reading from left to right. Those first three signs represent the group Kemet. And it comes from the word Kem, which means black. So Kemet means literally that which is black. And generally speaking, this word classically refers to Egypt as being the black land. And then the three signs you have, the seated man, the seated woman, and those three strokes that look like the number one. Those three strokes together is sort of the designation for plural. So the man and women and the three strokes would be like meaning generically people. So if you read this would look like a writing for the black people.
Okay.
Or you know, those who are black, referring to a group of people. And if you wanted to write a word that meant, you know, those who are black, referring to people, this is how you would write it.
Look at the sentence now. Dr. Brand does say, if you read this will look like a writing for the black people or those who are black, referring to a group of people. And that's the text that I wrote in my video for the record, right? You know. And you know what? Let me just show you the text. And when I say the text, you know, it's basically the transcript of what he said, you know. There it is. So I think we're gonna hear some interesting things. One moment. Because he translated the set of glyphs. Boom. Because it's well, maybe it's for space, you know, that he only put that part there, right? What I did for the record is put the whole quote or citation of this part. Of course, you know, there's a little part, you know, right there. I couldn't, you know, put everything, but you see, I put the whole thing, right? It comes from the word kem, which means black. So kemet means literally that which is black. So if you read this will look like a writing for the black people, or, you know, those who are black, referring to a group of people. And if you wanted to write a word that meant those who are black, referring to people, this is how you will write it. Let's go back to that stream of Wudjau from the Seshew.
The question I have is whether this is actually something that it would appear on an ancient Egyptian text, or whether this is something somebody has composed in using Egyptian hieroglyphs that is not actually from an ancient Egyptian text.
And that's the main reason why I sent an email to Dr. Peter J. Brand to inform him that this set of glyph, minus the owl, of course, right? But the owl, for those who don't know the hieroglyphic or the Medunetcher, doesn't change anything when it comes to the translation. The owl is what we call a phonetic complement. That's the sound M, and we already have the sound M with the previous glyph, which is what people call the Kem glyph, Garden reference, I6 glyph. So I sent him an email of my video showing the actual artifacts, where it comes from. And yes, okay, so let's continue.
But as actually somebody who has composed it using the ancient Egyptian language, to write a word that the ancient Egyptians didn't write themselves. So again, I would have to look at dictionaries to see if I could find this particular word that's written this way. But I just wonder whether
I think it is. I think it is in a dictionary. But
okay,
that's it.
well,
I'm not sure if you can find it actually in a sentence. So okay,
yeah,
I got you.
It's also possible that this is a writing that would be read the people of the black land as opposed to the black people.
Okay.
Because the word for Egypt is most often attested as Kemet, the black land.
Now here, Wudjau wrote that I conveniently left that out. I don't remember if I shared the link to that stream, because some of you know about all the drama that went on, but I think I made it clear where it came from, so I really, off the top of my head, I don't remember if I shared that stream, but I don't think that I didn't let people know where it came from, so where people can actually see it, you know what I'm saying, but anyway, let's continue.
So if you was to find it in the, I think it is in the dictionary, maybe Faulkner's dictionary. I'm not quite sure.
I actually had that dictionary. Can I just grab it real quick?
Yeah, grab it. Do your thing real quick. Yeah, grab that.
So I have Kemet. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's in Faulkner's dictionary.
Okay. I did find it as a writing for Egyptians.
Okay.
And I think what that would mean is not necessarily, if you will, the black ones, but probably, and it's attested in a papyrus. So you have first one, the traditional writing of the word for Egypt.
Now, before we continue, for the record, when we translate, Egyptians did not exist. The word Egyptians during the time when this was written did not exist, right? The word black existed, right? So Dr. Diop made a translation. Dr. Peter J. Brand made also a translation. But hey, who knows, if messages were sent, you see, Garfield stuff is not there. So damage control. Egypt also did not exist during the time of ancient, this time period, 1500 BC, 1000 BC. The word Egypt did not exist. Okay, let's continue.
There's the black land.
Okay.
You do have it written as a colloquial experience for the Egyptians. And so, you could take it as meaning, those who are black, if you will.
Okay.
But it also could be taken.
Oh, interesting. I wasn't even expecting that he would still say that,
And I suspect this is the more likely interpretation, as those of the black land.
And you know what's interesting here? Wudjau said that Dr. Shaka-Ndugu-KMT made an interpretation, and I had the page of the General History of Africa, Volume 2, and it was Dr. Diop's article, right? And he read what Diop said, and Diop mentioned people doing interpretation, and then Wudjau said that Diop made an interpretation. It's on tape already, And now he's putting the text of what Dr. Brand said. He suspects that he suspects this to be more likely interpretation as those of the black land. Now, what's interesting, he doesn't say interpretation as those who are black or the black people. You see, he was on the spot and he made a translation, and the translation is matching with what Dr. Shaka-Ndugu-KMT wrote 50 years ago. You know, grammar. Let's continue.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, it's a bit ambiguous. But if the standard interpretation of the word Kemet, referring to the place of Egypt, is, you know, the Black Land, then this writing of referring to you know, the people would most likely mean those who were of the Black Land rather than those who are black.
This doesn't surprise me. We know the consensus of Egyptology, and what's interesting is we have seen Dr. Jonathan Winneman when we have the same set of glyphs, and we have the bull that he translated as cows, you know, because of the loaf of bread, which is usually a mark of feminine, right? He translated it as the black cow. Black cows. He did not translate the cows that come from the black land. You see, that's what's interesting right there. And with Dr. John Winneman, to me, it looked like a, you know, somehow, somewhere there was some damage control attempt. But here, let's read the sentence. Every time Dr. Brand said it's possible to interpret the word either way, he always insists on it meaning those of the black land rather than black people. Well, I don't think that's correct. I don't think that sentence right there is correct, because we clearly heard him say, and I'm paraphrasing at this point, this could mean those who are black or something to that effect. And then he says, oh, this could mean also those of the black land, because that's something they keep saying. Now, mind you, the dictionary, Faulkner, right? We've seen he says Egyptian, right? Does he say those of the black land? Vivian is in the place to be Hotep. He wrote, lol, funny for him to watch some black folks confused about what black is. And I'm sorry about that music. Whenever you hear that music, it's coming from Wudjau's live stream, you know, so we obviously, it looks like we're gonna hear it a lot, you know.
Okay, so all right.
Again,
And for the record, here you can see that Wudjau wrote something Shaka-Ndugu-KMT had to leave out. You know, this is so funny to me. You're giving the source that you are addressing, but you have some people who act like when you are streaming or when you are making a video, you're supposed to play the full thing, right? Otherwise, they will claim it's out of context, right? So if you play an excerpt of, you know, a few seconds or a few minutes of somebody speaking, and the person has spoken for like an hour, it's like you're supposed to play the whole hour, you know. But it's okay. It's just, you know, a talking point.
possible to interpret it either way, but in terms of the
You see, now we don't have a sentence here from Wudjau that says, "Oh, it's possible to interpret it either way." No, he's just basically going by what suits him, right? I quoted the PhD. I cited the PhD.
context of the word Kemet as referring to the place.
Oh, I was on mute. Thank you, brother V. Bennett. Yeah, I was saying that, you know, this is the same sentence, you know. So Wudjau looks like he really needs help. He really needs to emphasize this, right? So that sentence says, once again, every time Dr. Brent says it's possible to interpret the word either way. Yes, either way, not just one way. But then the sentence says he always insists on it meaning those of the black land rather than black people. Hey, that's your interpretation. He made a translation. I did not misquote him. I did not miscite him. I put the video and I even put the text. So, you know, maybe we're going to see that sentence many times, you know.
And so, in that sense, the people of the black land, I think, is, those who are of the black land, I think, is what this word means. Now, again, you could literally interpret it those who are black, but I suspect.
Notice, I don't think Wudjau was going to put a sentence and say, oh, notice you can literally, translate it as those who are black. I don't think he's going to do that, right? I don't think he's going to do that, is he?
It really means those who are of the black land. In other words, Egyptians.
My prediction was correct. That same sentence, right? But Egyptians did not exist. That word did not exist in ancient Egypt. The word black did exist, right? So, and interestingly, what's very hurtful is that he contradicted himself, just like that Dr. Jonathan Wienerman, right? Because when it's the bull, the translation was the cows, the black cows, both Wudjau and Wienerman, not the cows who come from the black land, not the cows from Egypt, and that's where they, shot themselves in the foot.
They called Bedouins who lived in the desert, they called them those who were upon the sand, if you will, sand crawlers or sand dwellers. And then they had all kinds of specific names, both, the ethnic names for various foreign peoples who were Nubians or Libyans or Syrians. But they also used kind of very, specific derogatory names like, bowmen for Nubians or boomerang men for, Asiatics, etc. But they were to be distinguished from, again, Egyptians or, the people of Egypt, that kind of.
Now, bowman, I understand what he means, right? But we didn't have only that term, right? So one term was Magi, and some people will all dispute, maybe it's not only Nubians or what we call Nubians today, and we have, Nehesiu, but anyway, let's continue.
Or, okay. Or in this case, the people of the black land.
Let's read the sentence. My goodness, you said the emphasis, like the homie is live streaming, you know what I'm saying? He could just, read it or just say it. But anyway, he puts that music, you know what I'm saying? He puts this large text like that. So let me read it. Why didn't Shaka-Ndugu-KMT tell us that Dr. Peter J. Brand said he thinks there are two possible readings, one black people, two those of the black land, and he insisted on the second one, those of the black land, as being the correct reading. Now, that's what Wudjau claims. And we heard him say it could be interpreted either way. Right? But now Wudjau want to act like, oh, he insisted on the second one. So I thought it would be thorough, but so far, it looks like, he needs help. He needs backup.
Okay, so I will double down that Diab was absolutely wrong on that, and I did several videos on that. And as far as Peter, the other gentleman you mentioned,
Dr. Peter J. Brand.
Peter J. Brand, right?
For the record, I won't like that because I thought he was actually speaking live. It's an excerpt of when I went on his panel, you see. So I was wondering if, he was going to say Dr. Peter J. Brand was also wrong when he translated those of, black people, those who are black. But this excerpt we're hearing right now is when Wudjau and I spoke when I went on his panel just a few days ago. Okay.
I haven't watched that one yet, but when I do, I'll keep what you just said in mind, and I'll make sure I definitely address whatever portion he brings that up.
My goodness. Okay, this is the same text that we've seen earlier. So it looks like throughout his live stream, he's gonna keep on putting that text. It's like like a movie setting, like you emphasizing, like you setting things for people to see and hear, and you put that music, which I find annoying, but some people may love that music, may find it nice, you know what I'm saying? But it's okay. He can do his thing. But you
Yeah.
haven't seen Dr. Peter J. Brown, who is a professor of Egyptology, right, at University of Memphis. He made the same translation. He didn't use the word Negro, he used the word black. I'm very sorry for the audience. That's the same sentence with the same music, and you just hear one short sentence, and then he puts that up. Now, mind you, he didn't put, oh, Shaka-Ndugu-KMT, said something wrong or anything like that, right? We heard the translation. He made the same translation, and he didn't use the word Negroes. Indeed, the word Negro or Negroes is not really used nowadays, but back then he was. So it's understandable he did not use that word. He used the word black people. We heard him. He says referring to a group of people, but Wudjau, he's just into these. Just like Dr. Peter J. Brown used the word black as well. He used black people. Those who are black, you see.
No.
So,
But I don't want to. Hold up. Just out of fairness, I don't want you to bring him up because I haven't watched him. So it's not. So that doesn't mean anything to me right now. I'm just saying until I
yeah,
watch
not to
him.
you, but it's public.
Then,
You see, I understand. You have a look later
no,
on,
I
and
understand.
you touch on that. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that definitely.
No.
But
Yeah, I'm saying for this
Wudjau,
conversation. I'm just wait. I'm
was
just saying for
vindicated
this
50 years
conversation.
later
Say it again.
by up-to-date scholarship. Dr. Shaka-Ndugu has been vindicated 50 years later by up-to-date scholarship by a professor of Egyptology, and that's why I'm going to wait.
Are you talking about Peter J. Brand?
He is a professor of Egyptology. Yes.
No, I'm saying so. Okay, so you're saying, just to be clear, you're saying that Diop has now been vindicated 50 years later by Professor Brand.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, because the same thing.
Okay, I just want to be clear.
Yes. That's the title of my video. So I already stated that publicly. The same thing that Diop said 50 years ago, where Dr. Peter J. Brown, gave the same translation. I was on mute. It's the same sentence. I put the volume down, but I'm putting the volume back up now.
Translating it as the black people, as opposed to the people of the black land. That you gave a great explanation of why it would be that. So as you translate text,
yes,
what are you relying on to get the best translations that will fit the indigenous people and their mindset? What are you using to actually get the spirit of what you think they were saying?
Well, I would say it was based on the context where the usual term for Egypt is, which is consistently referred to as the Black Land.
The same music, but let's read that text here. Here is James P. Allen's translation of the text where the word is actually found. He has come to us taking possession of the Nile Valley's double crown, having united on his head. He has come to us having joined the two lands, having mingled the sedge with the bee. He has come out to us having begun to rule the black land, having put the red land in his collection. Okay, I don't think I need to. Okay, let me read the other two sentences. I don't need to read all of it. He has come to us having protected the two lands, having calmed the two banks. He has come to us having given life to Egypt, having spared its troubles. Now, you see what's interesting here? In this translation of James P. Allen, we have black land and we have Egypt. That's very interesting, you see. Now, he's free to use any other people's translations, right? but he just puts that text like that in the screen with that music, and that's not who we were dealing with. But he's free to, deal with whoever he wants to. But so sorry for the music you're gonna hear. Oh, the music is longer now, as if to put an emphasis, right? And once again, the volume is down. Once that stuff is at the screen, I'm gonna put the volume back up. Once again, it's interesting that we have Black Land and we have Egypt. I'm wondering, what are the words? Which word is translated as Black Land and Egypt? So let's see if the music's still up. It's okay. I'm gonna fast forward at this point. I'm fast forwarding. Okay, there it is.
Well, there you have it. All right. So, again, welcome to the Seshew channel. This is your brother Wudjau Min Ib Eri Maat, along with Sanat Imiket Aku Kinshai Akinyi. And what you just saw was a quick, I guess, a quick video addressing the claims made by Shaka-Ndugu-KMT from 2 days ago. And he was claiming that Cheikh Anta Diop, after 50 years, has now been vindicated by recent scholarship, particularly Dr. Peter James Brand, who he said translates this particular word in the glyphs that is in question as Black people, etc., in agreement with Diop. But as you saw, what Shaka-Ndugu-KMT did not do was to also say and tell us, because remember, at the time I was having this conversation with him 2 days ago, I did not watch Dr. Brand's interview.
Yeah, he said it.
So, and I made that clear.
Yeah.
And again, where I come from, you don't make comments and claims about things that you did not read or watch yourself. So that's
that's why in the chat I asked the question, and maybe he will answer it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that after he's done with his claims, then he's gonna get people, read the chat, and he may, get a lot of people to get on the panel and say some stuff. Who know, maybe that Mosi dude will come on, and but he used the book by Pascal Vernes called A Tribis. It's about 500 pages long. So I asked him if he can read books in French. He said no, but he has a friend who is a French speaker, and he said it's a team effort. So I'm just wondering, did his French-speaking friend or team translate 500 pages of a French book into English? I'm just wondering, right? Okay.
That's why I always am very cautious at that, and I look sideways at people who do that, people who make comments about books they haven't read and things like that. That's just very weird. But
people who make comments about books they never read, right? So we're gonna find out, we're gonna find out about that book. But let's continue. That's not the main thing, but that's just in passing, because that's his stance, right?
So at the time I did not watch it. And so if I was to put my trust in Shaka-Ndugu-KMT's claim, then he would have me believing that Professor Brand, Dr. Brand, was in full agreement with Diop, and then it's time to...
Did I ever say that Dr. Peter J. Brand was in full agreement with Diop? Come on now. Oh, now you're reaching, but it's okay. You're used to reaching.
Pop bottles and sip some champagne. But what he left out was the fact that Dr. Brand kept insisting. Well, first of all, let's back up. Dr. Brand had no idea about that particular word. at first.
That's so funny. Now excuses now. Excuses. Oh, he had no idea about that particular word. Oh, he he read the set of glyphs. See, but he has his audience who will just take whatever he says, right? So that's fine. That sounds like damage control. That sounds like making excuses. He's a professor of Egyptology. He's very well familiar with all the glyphs he was presented. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue.
Which was clear because he said so. He said, I'm not sure if this is an original Egyptian word or a word that was created by someone just using some hieroglyphs and things like that. So now on the part of the brother Unk and Garfield, in the future, my suggestion and advice to them.
So for the record, he didn't know, Dr. Peter Gerbrand didn't know if this set of glyphs came from an original ancient Egyptian text. You know what I'm saying? But those glyphs, anybody can ask him. Maybe he will answer you this time. He's very familiar with those glyphs. Definitely,
is to always give the person you're interviewing some material that they could be prepared for, so that the interview can be a little bit more fruitful.
You hear what Joe is, and I'm so happy because this discussion is great. This discussion is great. Many times you heard me say, even yesterday, when that brother from England, originally from Nigeria, I did say what the consensus of Egyptology is. The consensus of Egyptology is not to say that the ancient Egyptians were blind. They say, they were mixed, Mediterranean and all that. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, I'm losing my thought right now. I just wanted to say one thing. Oh yes, Wudjau just said, oh, you need to show some, I'm paraphrasing, but you need to give some stuff so the person can be prepared. We're talking about a professor of Egyptology. You don't need to give him anything for him to be prepared. Now let's just hear it for the sake of clarity. You know what I'm saying? I'm paraphrasing, but let me go back a few seconds.
Always give in the future, my suggestion and advice to them.
His suggestion and advice to them. So whoever's interviewing a PhD in Egypt, an Egyptologist,
is to always give the person you're interviewing some material that they could be prepared for.
Always give them some material that they can be prepared for. So if they have a professor of Islamic studies or a professor of the Arabic language, and just prepare some material so that they can be prepared. Just give them some material so they can be prepared. Make that make sense. But hey, he's free to say and do whatever he wants. Let's continue.
So that the interview can be a little bit more fruitful. But besides that,
so the interview can be a little bit more fruitful. So was it not fruitful?
Professor Brand was not familiar with that word in the way that it looked clearly. So as you saw, he eventually got his dictionary, Raymond Faulkner's dictionary, which is pretty much the go-to dictionary for all college level students in Egyptology. They prefer Faulkner's dictionary. It's a handwritten dictionary, and so even prior to getting the dictionary, he had already said that there's another possible reading for it, which is those of the Black Land, because traditionally Kemet would be talking about the place, Egypt. But then he goes and gets the dictionary, and he actually finds the entry where Faulkner translates that exact word as the Egyptians.
Now, the Egyptians is not a translation. Now, many people may use that, just like they may use Egypt for Kemet, right? I guess if they put the black or the black quote-unquote land, then that's a translation, but that's okay. And for the record, on Faulkner, which, yes, is used, by students of the hieroglyphic and so on, we don't have riparian land or riparian country, just for the record. Let's continue. And also, okay, no, I'll leave it there.
And we know to say Egyptians is the same as saying the inhabitants of Egypt. Just like we say Americans are the inhabitants of America, Canadians are the inhabitants of.
So even if you go there, and now you see, now he's trying to rely on the grammar and so on, right? Even if you say the inhabitants of Egypt, Egypt did not exist. That word did not exist, right? It did not exist. Anyway, let's continue.
Canada, and so on. Italians are the inhabitants of Italy. So that's what's in Faulkner's dictionary, and that's what Professor Brand had seen when he finally got to it in the dictionary. So all of that stuff was left out of the conversation two days ago. So I had no idea he had said those things, and that's why I insisted to leave him out of it. I said that doesn't mean anything to me because I haven't seen the video. Because see, I know how.
And I hope he's not gonna say, "Oh, I know how he does," and taking clips and stuff like that. But we're gonna see. And I said, "Okay, in your own time, but this is public." I said that it is public. Now you're not up to date. You didn't catch up. Fine, take your time and deal with it. But this is indeed public. He made those statements publicly, right? And once again, he's trying to insist on other interpretations or translations, but we clearly heard him say that you could interpret it either way. So he did not just state one position. Now some people may say, okay, he's gearing more towards one position. That's fine. But if we deal with grammar, if we deal with etymology, some people may use the term philology. Let's do it. Now let's continue.
How the conflict community is, and I know how people, and this is a classic case of people who are anachronists, as I call them, and they're intellectually dishonest and biased.
Now, anachronist, dishonest and biased. Make sense. The word Egypt did not exist. Who's being anachronist? So when I was on his panel, at the end he talked about comprehension, and you've seen the comment of Shefren L. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they do. Ad hominems. I played the video, I put the text, did not misquote, did not miscite, and now because we don't share the same view, because he has a claim that is not accepted or validated by Egyptology, by Egyptologists, by PhDs, by doctors, and so on, right? So they are struggling. So what do? They use ad hominems. Oh, he's being dishonest, and he used the term what is it? Confusion community or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they love to do. That's what they love to do, and it's just sad. But hey.
And so they'll find anything that will agree with them, and they'll ignore. Matter of fact, I think I have. Let me see if I could put this up. There's a meme that was going around, and I had to save it because this reminds me of the conflict community. This meme right here.
There it is. That's what he used. Conflict community. Make that make sense. Conflict community. You quote scholars. You quote books by scholars, and this is how you are being referred to. And for those who don't know, Dr. Diop had many terms, attached to him, but I ain't gonna say who he came from because some people are gonna be crying,
And it's kind of blurry. I'm not sure if you all can see it, but you see this meme right here. It says on the left-hand side, it has the scientific method. That's the proper method of doing things. Then on the right-hand side, you have science worshipers method. And on that side, you see where it says formulate a hypothesis. Then the next step is construct a model based on preconceived ideas, which is what a lot of people in the conflict community do. You're not supposed to do that, but that's what you do. Construct a model based on preconceived ideas, find data that agrees with the model, So now you got to go out and find data that agrees with your already preconceived idea. Then the next step, disregard data that does not align with the model, such as what Shaka-Ndugu-KMT failed to mention, that Dr. Brand was insisting that the meaning of that particular word was those of the black lands.
Now, see, right now, that's what he's saying. That's what Wudjau is saying. We clearly heard him. You can interpret it either way, but he has a narrative. And it's funny because he wrote scientific method. Even the nude glyph, we have Wudjau saying that it deals with water somehow, some way, right? But it's okay. I could make so many comments, but Kemet meaning riparian land, Kemet meaning riparian country. Is that following a scientific method? Let's continue.
Rather than black people or those who are black. He kept saying that. And I should have counted how many times he said that.
Yeah, well, next time count it. But we heard. He said you can interpret it either way, right? But the most interesting thing is that in the first place, that professor of Egyptology, Dr. Peter J. Brand, made a translation of the glyphs seen on the screen. And those who have not seen it can go on any search engine and type General History of Africa, Volume 2. And the first chapter is by Dr. Shaka-Ndugu-KMT. So that was about 50 years ago. He basically first dealt with that at the 1974 Cairo Symposium or Cairo Conference, right? And a few years after we had that article, that chapter by Dr. Diop, you will see the same glyphs and you will see Dr. Diop's translation. Etymology, grammar. Let's continue.
And then the last step over here is shout out, trust the experts. Trust the expert. Who does that sound like? I'm sure everybody in the chat can tell me who are we familiar with that does this side of this process, the science worshipers method. I'm sure somebody comes to mind.
So it looks like he has a problem if people trust the experts. And when you put experts, because some people may say, oh, that such and such is an expert, that's why I like to, use terms like, scholars or, PhDs anyway, PhDs, there it is. So people who hold a doctorate degree, they are definitely experts, they are definitely specialists. They have studied thoroughly a particular field, right? So rather than people trusting the experts, apparently it will be better for them to trust people, who make new grammar rules, to each his own.
Everybody in the chat, I'm sure of that.
So,
but anyway, that's actually what happened by leaving things out. And so we shouldn't, I mean, I shouldn't have to say this, but we shouldn't do things like that. Like the goal of scholarship, the goal of doing this kind of things is to really do our best to get to the truth, to get to the reality of things and expand.
It's funny, do our best to get to the truth. Now he didn't say it, but some people may get from that somehow, some way I did not deal with the truth. Everything that I have presented and said, that's truthful. I did not, put words in people's mouth. I played, I even put the text, I cited, basically, I quoted, what I'm saying? So this is amazing. Now, riparian land, riparian country, what is it backed up by? Which PhDs? Which hieroglyphic grammar book? But anyway, let's continue.
The body of knowledge, we want to expand the body of knowledge, and we want quality knowledge. We want concrete, solid knowledge that we can trust and stand on. And we have to approach things with an open mind, do our best to remove biases, and especially when you're studying history and other cultures, that makes that task even harder, because you really have to kind of come with a clean slate. Because how we grow up, like, I'm in the United States, so how I grew up in the United States, everything that I've experienced and been exposed to, and all of the influences in my entire life has basically molded certain ideas. And so I should be cautious to not project those ideas and experiences on historical people, especially foreign historical.
Now, for those who don't know, besides lying regarding the census, I asked him, in the census, do you pick black? Something to that effect. And he replied, I haven't filled the census in a long time. And I told him, well, thank you for confirming that you have filled the census. So what did you pick? And then he said, no, I never filled the census. So a census, sorry. So he lied live on air when he came on my panel. But there's another instance where he said that Kem is a title, and that's when he pulled up Pascal Werner's book called Arthritis, and that book is in French for those who don't know. Pascal Werner is the author, right? He said that Kem, that's the Ghana reference I6, he said that it is a title, right? So I asked him where he gets that from, and he struggled and he could not, he could not prove that. So he basically made that up. Just for the record, you know what I'm saying? Now, you are used to me telling you things, whether it's from the hieroglyphic or else, and I will use scholars. I will use books written by scholars. I will use scholarship. I will tell you, okay, this is what that person said. There it is in that book. But Kem being a title, right? Where does that come from? So it's amazing to me that he used the term conflict community, right? And he wants to talk about, methodology, science, and all that scientific method, right? But he's making stuff up, and he's not the only one who makes stuff up, but I don't need to address other people because some individuals will cry. So as a matter of fact, you know what? This is what I'm going to do just for the record here. Oh no, it's okay. I'll do that when I speak to him. Next time I speak to him, I would ask him about Kem being a title. He's on tape already saying that. So let's continue.
Historical people and ancient people, such as the ancient Egyptians, etc., and whoever else I may be studying. And so that's a challenge to do that. It's not easy, but that's the goal. That's what we should strive to do. We shouldn't be anachronistic. We shouldn't be biased. We shouldn't be intellectual.
For the record, and I told him a few days ago when I went on his panel, he is being anachronistic when he says he's not using the term black to refer to the ancient Egyptians, right? When really he's not using that because he used to be somehow, some way a Moor. He used to be a member of the Nubian nation of Moors led by Malachi York. And I'm only saying that because the Moors do not like to use the word black for themselves or the black people. That's the real reason. It's really out of a doctrine, you know what I'm saying? And in order to justify his doctrine or his thinking, then he says black was a status, and it's like the lower class, and the ancient Egyptians would have never referred to themselves as the lower class, right? Well, once again, 1500 BC, during the time when the ancient Egyptians were alive, black was not a status of lower class. As a matter of fact, people can check the Amana letters and you will read about foreign rulers, neighbors who will send their daughters to marry the ancient Egyptian kings, like Amenhotep III, for example. So is that lower class? They sent their own daughters to marry the ancient Egyptian pharaohs, black Africans of Kemet. So he is being anachronistic. He is, you know, but he's accusing people of being anachronists. And before that term anachronist, he was using what was that term? Blackologist. That's what he was using. But now that we had the translation of Dr. Peter J. Brown, now that we had the translation of Black Cows from Dr. Jonathan Winterman, it's safer no longer to use blackologist, right? Because for a strange reason, we didn't hear those, not just this term, but all these other negative terms towards this other side. You know what I'm saying? So it's just sad, but you know, he, like others, has a school of thought, and he's trying to act like he's relying on scholarship for his school of thought, right?
Actually dishonest and ignoring things. We should take all of the evidence and sift through it and weigh it out. And so that's what I'll encourage everyone to do. And what this display, what that conversation, as far as that's concerned, displayed was the opposite. So, and that's pretty much it. Outside of that, you know, so, you know, to speak to Diop's claim, as you heard in that clip, Diop was wrong. And that's just it, period. But of course,
so there it is. Now he's saying Diop was wrong. Now, when he says that Kemet means riparian land, riparian country, he's not wrong. See, that's just amazing. Diop was correct. Diop made a translation. He dealt with the grammar, right? So it's just funny to me. So the nude glyph got in a reference 049 having something to do with water. I don't know where that comes from. Kemet meaning riparian land or riparian country. I don't know where that comes from. Kem being a title. I don't know where that comes from. But he's not wrong. But yet he says that Diop was wrong. Wow.
There's people who are going to do anything by any means necessary to.
And for the record, we heard Dr. Peter J. Brand, who said you can interpret the glyphs that we have seen, the set of glyphs, either way, right? Why doesn't Wudjau say that he is wrong by saying that? Why doesn't he say, oh, it should be only one way? He's wrong by saying it could be either way. You see, that's interesting. But you see how comfortable he is by saying that Diop was wrong? And what didn't help is that we have Dr. Jonathan Winterman with the Black Cows, and he knows, Wudjau, trust me, he knows he shot himself in the foot. He knows that. He knows that very well, because this discussion is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. There are many people who study the hieroglyphic, the Medu Neter. Many people are studying it, you know? So right now, it looks to me like a desperate damage control attempt. I mean, I expected a lot more, you know. I expected a lot more, you know, but let's see what else comes through, you know. I did not expect him to put text with some music and keep on putting the same text. So basically, he's just going to repeat the same things over and over again. You know, he's free to do whatever he wants, but you know.
To defend Diop and defend the claims. But, you know, Diop himself said, let's see, do I have this slide here? This is something that I always like to remind people of when speaking about Diop. Because here's the thing, when Diop's name comes up, and this is the experience in the conflict community, mind you, when Diop's name comes up, if you say anything that goes against what Diop has written or documented, you're looked at real funny.
Now, this is not true. This is not true. And I want to state for the record, just while we are at it, I don't agree with everything that Diop said, and I can give an example. Now, the book is in French. The book Nationale et Culture, which will be translated as Negro Nation and Culture, that's his most famous book. Now, you have some parts that are translated in the English book called African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality. But I'm not sure, and I read it also, the English one. And when I said the English one, I gave the title of the book, right? Because you have excerpts from National Agriculture, and maybe probably excerpts from other books as well. But let's make it simple. In that book, National Agriculture, if I'm not mistaken, if not that one, there's another one from him. But I think that's the right one. But in one of Dr. Shaka-Ndugu-KMT's work, he showed a statue, and it's an Asiatic ruler, or quote unquote Mesopotamian ruler. Maybe it's the king of Lagash. See, I'm going off the dome, so maybe it's the king of Lagash or the prince of Lagash, like Gudea, someone from that region, And I have filmed that statue. It is in the Louvre Museum, Paris, France, and that statue is made of black material, and you know what? I can show. I have a video. If I put Gudea, it's the Prince of Lagash. It's not. I don't remember if it's the father or the son, but let me just show you here. So, for those who don't know how to search within the channel, you have this symbol here, and I put Gudea. So here you have Prince of Lagash, in parentheses Gudea, kinky hair, right? And here you have Prince of Lagash, Ur Ninginsu, son of Gudea, right? So that's the artifact right there.
Greetings. As I said, here I am showing you. Now, this is not the king of Lagash, it's the prince of Lagash. His name is Gudea. Now, it's good for you to be able to have a close-up. You see those so-called knots, the people who try to claim that those are nappy hair. By the way, here it is, Gudea, prince of Lagash. It's a statue dedicated to the god called Ningizida. Here you have the references. I don't know why there are two references because there's only one statue. Oh, okay. You have the head and the body. As a matter of fact, you see here?
So for the record, I'm just going to share the link in the chat. I just wanted you to see the artifact. You see, it's made of black material. So I don't want to misquote Diop, but if I'm not mistaken, he was of the opinion that that person was black, you see, and I disagree with that. I dealt with quote unquote Semites, for many years, and I've shown many different artifacts. Some people will believe that this was a black person because of the black material of the statue, others because of the so-called Bantu knots or kinky hair. But I have shown you some artifacts where you have this little thing, I don't know how to call it, and then you see the other part of the hair where it clearly shows that it is straight hair, you see. So let me share that link there for the record. So I disagree with Dr. Shaka-Ndugu-KMT on that, you see. But what's amazing is that there's a lot of people who it's okay. I don't need to be too long with that, but some people, they like to say, oh, you cannot criticize Diop. If you criticize Diop, then you're wrong, or that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Everybody can make mistakes, and people have the right to disagree with whoever they want, but to say, oh, Diop was wrong, okay, fine, you can say that, but he dealt with the grammar, you know what I'm saying? And Dr. Peter J. Brand also dealt with the grammar. There it is. And once again, we have also Dr. Jonathan Wienerman, who dealt with the grammar to some extent, and then there was something new, and we still don't have an answer. And mind you, brothers and sisters, this discussion is great. You all can. Now, I'm not saying be careful, because a lot of people like to say negative stuff and like to cry and complain. I don't want anybody stalking anyone, right? You know what I'm saying? But if you are interested, you can also contact. And if you want, you can just link my video, right? Or if you want, you can just, type whatever text you want, right? But Dr. Peter J. Brand did not respond to my email. No, I'm not claiming he received it. I think he did. I don't see why he would not have received it, but he doesn't have to. He is free to answer or reply to whoever he wants, right? But for the record, I emailed him about what he stated publicly, right? And I also emailed Dr. Jonathan Winneman. There's no response. And check this out, brothers and sisters. There's another PhD in Egyptology who talked about Dr. Diop, and very negatively, like basically saying that some people have, now there's a French word called nauseabond. Let me tell you the translation. Nauseabond. Nauseabond. He said that because of Diop, some people have a very bad way of seeing things, like, basically racist, Yeah, bon. So the English translation of that word is putrid, or hold on, there's an ad. Oh, nauseating. Oh, it's like repugnant, sickening, repulsive, So anyway, I'm going to put the link to that word and the translation from that website for those who are interested. Sometimes it's difficult to translate word for word, from one language to another, but you have it there. So he said that about Diop, and maybe he doesn't even know. And I'm talking about a PhD. Okay, you know what? Let me just say his name, just for the record. And I'm going to share a link. So, whoever, because you know how I get down. It doesn't come out of my, you know what? So here is the link. It's a French video, that guy's a French speaker. I think he understands English, what I'm saying? So, and then for those who wonder who like, because that's his username. It's a wordplay. Pharaon in French, it's a wordplay of 3 different words, well, 4 different words. And trying to remember his name. Oh yeah, Simon something. Here I dealt with what he said in English, so you have his name, Oh, snap. So that guy has a doctorate in Egyptology. He made a video and said that, what Diop said, caused people to have a repugnant, ideology, right? Maybe he doesn't know that Diop was married with a white woman, because he was talking about, like superiority in races and stuff like that, And he even said, you have the link here, Doctor in Egyptology, Intimidation, Simon Tewalt is welcome to dialogue with me. He tried to intimidate me, talking about, he did not authorize me to use his picture, because I use his picture. It's a screen capture from his YouTube video, a public video, right? In my thumbnail, right? And he said that, he was seeking legal actions against me. I laughed it off. And I replied, intimidation doesn't work, but we can dialogue, you know what I'm saying? And I even gave him the link, to get on the panel. So I did not get an answer from Dr. Peter J. Brown. I did not get an answer from Dr. Jonathan Winneman. I did not get an answer or dialogue. He just basically tried to intimidate me by threatening to seek legal action against me, I read read or paraphrased the email, but I didn't show it, I didn't show the email. So Dr. Simon Tewalt, PhD in Egyptology, right? And he also said that he has no proof that Dr. Diop earned his PhD. Can you believe it, ladies and gentlemen? He said that he could not have confirmation that Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop earned his PhD. That's what he said, you know. So he went against Diop's claims, try to attach race superiority to what Diop said, and he even questioned the degree of Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. The PhD of Diop was not questioned during the 1974 Cairo Symposium. Crazy. That's what happened. You see? Now, then we have Metatron, who said the ancient Egyptians were not black, and even said the ancient Egyptians did not call themselves blacks, right? Metatron knew about my video. He responded to my comment, right? And he ran. But he started the discussion, the dialogue about the race or color of the ancient Egyptians. Then there's a French speaking person who has over 1 million subscribers called Nota Bene, right? He also addressed the color of the ancient Egyptians. And I responded to what he said. I played what he said. I responded. I sent an email and I got a response from the person who is in charge of his website, of his communication. And he told me he will let him know. He doesn't know if, what's going to happen next, but he will let him know, right? I didn't get an answer. Then there's another lady. I think she's like a professor. I'm not sure if she has a PhD, but I think she's a teacher somehow, somewhere. But anyway, in that same video, when I addressed that guy, Nota Bene, I addressed that girl called Passé Sauvage, if I'm not mistaken, And I also contacted her and let her know about the video. She did not respond. Sorry. So she made a video also about the race or color of the ancient Egyptian, and she is of the opinion that they were not black, right? So I played some of what she said, right? And I respond. So look at how many people go publicly and make claims about the ancient Egyptians, whether it is their color or their race, or whether it is, about grammar or anything, and then you don't have any response. So trust me, this is very interesting. So some of you can contact those people, and if you don't want to, engage yourself, then feel free to use my videos, But I stop there because I don't want people to think that, I'm doing this for clout. I don't need any clout, you know what I'm saying? But trust me, mark my words, this discussion is interesting, and it's really, now if I say just the beginning, 50 years ago, we had similar discussions. But now we are in what people call, the modern era, or, communication era, right? It's so easy and convenient to share information and to dialogue now, you see. Just like the other day, Wudjau was live, and I saw it was live, and I hopped on, you know what I'm saying? So now we can communicate very, very easily. The information can be shared very easily. See, back then you could not share videos, play video, you couldn't even live stream at one point, and now you can show books, you can show your screen. So the discussion, as far as I'm concerned, is very interesting. We're hearing people's arguments, we can see what they are relying on, and then keep it pushing. So anyway, I don't think that Wudjau was going to say much more, but I think we'll see.
And people look at you sideways, people make comments, and I've experienced it, I've seen it, and no one can say that doesn't exist. So I always like to, let me see if I can find this. I always like to show, let's see if I can find this real quick, Diop's words from his interview, which people ignore. Let's see, where do I have it? I'm sure I have it on one of these.
Okay, well, you know what? That part of Diop's interview, I don't know if it's going to be copywritten. You know what I'm saying? Well, you should be able to play an excerpt, but it really looks to me like Wudjau went to the bottom of it. So I guess I can stop playing his stream. But just out of curiosity, I'm just going to fast forward a little bit and try to. So here it puts a quote, and so in red it says, "It bothers me when someone texts me on my word without developing a means of verifying what I say. We must form a scientific spirit capable of seeing even the weaknesses of our own proofs of seeing the unfinished side of our work and of committing ourselves to completing it, you know. So yeah, okay, yeah, scientific method, I'm down for. I'm sorry, it was small, but here, you know, I make it bigger, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, Kemet meaning riparian land or riparian country, you know. I don't know how scientific that is, you know what I'm saying. I don't know which PhDs agrees, you say similar things. And same with the nude glyph dealing with water, you know what I'm saying. Same with Kem meaning a title, you know what I'm saying. You know, but apparently, you know, for strange reason, you know, that gets a pass. But you know, so out of curiosity, let me just fast forward.
Say about it. Did he? Well, let me just ask you a straight question. Did he or did he not keep insisting that the meaning of that word was those of?
So he needs backup now. He needs backup. So okay. And okay, so fast forwarding. Oh, that's interesting here. Now I don't know if it is Peter James P. Allen's translation here, but remember earlier he put the translation, and we had Blackland, and then we had, if I'm not mistaken, Egypt. You see, so here I don't know who translated, right? But that's the fourth hymn of Senuseret, for the third. For those who wonder, this hieratic text, for which we have the hieroglyphic transcript, those set of glyphs, this set of glyphs that Dr. Peter J. That Dr. Peter J. Brand has translated, that's where it comes from. So the original is in hieratic, okay? So we have the hieroglyphic transcript, okay? So that's what, and I've shown the source anyway on my video, so you know. And usually I even give links where people can find, you know, the sources, you know. But you know, sometimes there's some books, you know, I don't have links to the actual books, but some books are, you know, open, what is it called? Open licenses, or you know, but archive.org, for example, you have some books, or even some the Met Museum, I think, have some book, but you have some universities sometimes who can, you know, provide books, you know, for which there's no longer any copyright. So here it says Egypt, literally the Black Land, and then I want to see where here say has caused, and here we have the people of Egypt. Okay, but anyway, that's probably Wudjau's translation, because I think if it was somebody else, he would have stated it. So okay, soldiers, Meshau, workmen. Okay, well, workmen. Well, I would say, yeah, I would say soldiers, you know, but hey. So should I hop on? Oh, that's usually what he plays at the end. Is he still live streaming? Oh, he finished. Oh. Now, look at this, brothers and sisters. Look at this. And I expected so much more, but I knew I didn't need to, you know, I just could just deal with it straight away, you know what I'm saying? Because he is in a very uncomfortable position, you know. But some people who are not familiar with the hieroglyphic cannot really understand how uncomfortable he is right now, you know. And he did not even deal with his contradiction with the translation. But you know what? Maybe he will deal with it later on, and maybe he will take more time to try to put up more quotes and more music and more stuff to put on the screen, because you know. But look at this. We're gonna do it this way. Here, discussion, tomb of Ramesses II. Is it large? Yes. Discussion, tomb of Ramesses II. I'm sorry. Discussion, tomb of Ramesses III. The four races of men. The live stream is 4 hours long. Then ChatGTP consensus experts, oh my, The live stream is 5 hours 54 minutes long, so that's nearly 6 hours long. Then Kemet and Chill open discussion, 4 hours long. Did I share the link? I'm sharing the link just in case somebody say, "Oh, I wanted to hop on," but he did not allow people to get on the panel. You know what I'm saying? Just in case, you know, because if nobody comes on, then it's gonna be a wrap, you know. So then we had the Said by Don addressing claims made by Bro Reggie from 7/10/24. This was 6 hours and 12 minutes long. That's the stream where I hopped in and I played the part where I was in, you know, on my channel, right? Then we have commentary on Garfield and Unk's interview with Peter J. Brown, part 1, which is only 1 hour long, but I think it's the same day, you know, shortly after that he made part 2, right? And part 2 is 4 hours 52 minutes long, so that's nearly 5 hours long. But that stream, when he addressed, like he said, my claims, but he can use any word he wants, right? 1 hour and 15 minutes long. 1 hour and 15 minutes long. Anybody wants to feel, you know, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This discussion is great. This discussion is great. Now, there's a thing, and I know right now it's very early in New York time. It's going to be 3 a.m. actually in New York. We've heard terms, you know, comprehension issues. They don't comprehend. When they were dealing with people who don't know the meta nature, they could grandstand. And it's similar when you talk to some people, you know, when you talk about Islam, there's some people, you know, they like to engage, and then when they are cornered or when they don't have any answer, you know, then they will say, oh, but no, you need to deal with the Arabic and stuff like that. And some of them don't even speak the Arabic, you know. But amazingly, even when we deal with the Arabic, some people, you know, they don't know what to do. And as a matter of fact, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, PhD, did challenge me to a discussion regarding the color of the Arabs of the 7th century, including Prophet Muhammad, because for those who don't know, he wrote a book and he claimed that Prophet Muhammad was black, that his family members were black, and that the Arabs of the 7th century were black, right? I accepted his challenge and he ran, you know. We spoke on the phone. I did not tell him that I had bought his books and his DVDs, you know. Oh my goodness, this is interesting. I'm loving this discussion, but I'm not going to say that I am disappointed, but I expected a lot more, and I thought that he will address, you know, the black cows, you know, because for strange reason, once again, it's not the cows from Egypt or the cows from the black land. No, it's the black cows. But when you have a man and a woman, for strange reason, we have a unknown grammar rule. Now it's not black people. Oh my goodness. Well, that's great. That's great. There's going to be some discussion, you know. There's going to be some discussion, but for those who don't know, I'm giving hieroglyphic classes. If people want to learn the meta nature, I'm giving classes. The discussion is indeed interesting. So anyway, this way mine will not be too long. It's actually 1 hour 30, so mine is just 15 minutes longer than his stream, but he played a bit of excerpts. He played, you know, or he shows some quote from Diop, and also we can see at the end where he showed a video from Dr. John Henry Clark, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to play my outro. Or you know what? Let me play the outro. So let me make my closing remarks. Stay safe, stay healthy, and if I'm allowed to buy the Necheru, I will definitely holler back at you. I don't argue, I state facts. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. If you do not think right, you will not act right. And let me share. Okay, if you do not think right, you will not act right. If you know better, you will do better. Dua itu dua Necheru. Hotep. And here I'm sharing the link to my video called Kemet and Maat, which has 400,000 views. Yes, that's the video that I am the most proud of. Okay, it's less than an hour long. I recommend that you watch it. By all means, whoever you are, You are welcome to dialogue with me, even if you disagree. But I am encouraging everybody, don't be a groupie. You have the right to agree with somebody. You have the right to defend somebody. But we have seen over several years some individuals who attack others for the sake of their friends. And many times over some claims that they cannot even engage in. So if you want to dialogue with me, I'm live streaming regularly, right? And people know that usually I share the link so people can get on the panel. What happened is that you have seen some people who use xenophobia. Oh, this guy, he's there, he's from there. And they try to use so many things. It's like the people who claim that black people are the Native Americans, right? And many are Moors, and many use the book edited by Dr. Ivan van Sertima called The Golden Age of the Moor, The Golden Age of the Moor. Even in that book, when you see a group of Moors, usually you have white people mainly and a few black people, like a couple of black people, right? So people like to show this painting of two black people playing chess. And some people would take that picture and they would say things like, oh, look, Moorish rulers. And check this out. How many black Moorish rulers have you ever seen? How many times have you heard of a black person who was a Moor, you know, the so-called black people who ruled Europe, so who ruled part of Europe, you know, the Iberian Peninsula, you know, how many times they call themselves Moor and how many times they called other black Moors or Moorish ruler Moors. It's a fictional stance. It's a fictional statement when people claim that black people conquered and ruled parts of Europe. It was Muslims, and among those Muslims you had some black people, just like the United States Army, just like the French Army, just like the British Army. You see? Then we have the Hebrew Israelites who claim that the quote-unquote Hebrews, inhabitants of Canaan during the lifetime of Jesus, during the lifetime of Moses, you know, that they were black people, you know. And then they came up with something very recent, the 12 tribe chart. You see? Then we have some black Muslims who said that Prophet Muhammad was black and the Arabs of the 7th century were black. You see? Now, people have been claiming things like that. They've been doing it for years. And they had many followers. But back then, the claims of those people were made privately, right? Even when we had the internet, there was no way of playing people's videos, and more recently to live stream. I said it a few times. Back in 2008, you will hear about the Moors so often, and they will go on YouTube and make claims, and people could verify their claims, right? So a lot of people have some emotional damage because they have been communicating with fellow people who share the same views, not just belief system, but so-called historical views, you know, and people dealt with metaphysics and all sorts of stuff. So they were comfortable because there are so many people who believe the same thing as them. But now they're making those claims publicly. There's a guy, Ali Mohammed, the guy who showed a fake PhD degree with a spelling mistake on it. He showed Prince Edwards, sorry if I'm not mistaken, the one who was nicknamed the Black Prince, and he claims that he was black because of that nickname, the Black Prince. Make that make sense? He's on tape saying there was no such thing as Kemet, it was a civilization of Moors. Can you believe it? he also claims that, you know, Prophet Muhammad was black. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was basically just like almost anything goes. And over years, people have been able to refute the inaccuracies, the falsehood taught. You see? And with the Riparianites, there's a fair bit of falsehood that was taught. And you have seen that I'm not the only one who addressed some of their claims. You see, I don't need to name the other people who have, right? And of course, we have seen that they like to use terms like, oh no, comprehension. You don't comprehend, you don't understand, stuff like that. You know, hey, people need talking points, you know? So the discussion is interesting. So because I went longer than I expected, I'm not going to play the outro, you know? So thank you very much for watching. But remember, whoever you are, right? Now, of course, those who, you know, look for disgusting thing online, you know what I'm saying? You know, like, you know, but for the most part, whoever you are, and you want to dialogue with me, feel free, we can. Okay? If you disagree with something that I have said, now you don't even have to come on my panel. If you want to make a video, feel free. But you know, at least tag me or send me an email so I'm aware of it. You know what I'm saying? So you have the right to disagree with me. Feel free, be comfortable to disagree with me. And with what I've said, what I've presented, we can go through it. We can communicate, we can dialogue. It's no problem at all. But we have seen that for years, some people have been teaching falsehood, and some of them have made a living teaching falsehood, right? And that did not help us as a people. That did not help us at all, you know. Peace.